Well, hello there guys, my name is Boardman, and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad to see you for joining me on this brand new video. So I'll be doing another read aloud for you guys for you to learn and listen together for story time. So here, first of all, I'll show you what I've got. I have got Winnie the Pooh, A Garden of Flowers. This book is quite familiar. This is illustrated by Comicup Studio. This book is a very rare. Some of you guys might recognise these back in childhood. Some of you quite familiar with those books. So, what I tend to do, guys, I will read this book by words and show some magnificent illustrated pictures from each page. So before I start, I'd like to thank you for subscribing to my channel and leaving comments. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you guys. You guys are doing great. So happy building my creativity and improving my performance. You guys are brilliant. Thank you so much. So let's begin. Read to you guys, so sit back, relax and enjoy. As Winnie the Pooh was walking in the forest one day, he found himself singing a song about flowers. They are so pretty and so bright, they are so yellow and so white, and butterflies are light enough to sit on them. He was just getting to a bit about bears being too heavy to sit on flowers when he noticed the flowers had changed since yesterday. They were closed and now they're open. Spring has come. I must go and tell my friends. Piglet was sweeping outside his house when Pooh arrived. Good morning, Piglet. Happy spring. Which do you prefer? Pansies or tulips or daffodils or marigolds or... Oh dear. Pooh stopped. He had just noticed that there was a single flower in Piglet's garden. Oh, do you prefer twigs and old leaves, Piglet? Don't you like flowers? I like flowers in other people's gardens, Piglet replied, but I don't want any in my own. Flowers attract all kinds of buzzy insects which frighten me, especially bees. Bees? Said Pooh. And he said that word, an idea began to form in his head. Come on, Piglet, let's go and find Eeyore, said Pooh. I'll tell him spring has come. They found Eeyore in his garden, eating vegetables for breakfast. Those look a bit prickly, Pooh said. It's spring, Eeyore, the season for daisies and violets. Why don't you only have spiky old vegetables in your garden? I like vegetables, said Eeyore, slightly offended. To me, they are perfect plant, easy to maintain and highly edible for breakfast, lunch or tea. What is the point of flowers? I see, said Pooh thoughtfully. You use your garden as a larder, do you? Now, what was that idea I had a few months ago? The three friends walked over the bridge to visit Rabbit. Oh, Rabbit, said Pooh, delighted. At last, someone who loves flowers as much as I do. Look at your garden. I've never seen so many beautiful flowers. What's your secret?" No secret, said Rabbit. Just hard work and no more hard work. Patience and more patience. As he spoke, a swarm of buzzing bees flew between Pooh and Rabbit and landed on Rabbit's flowers. Piglet jumped with fright. "Don't worry, they won't hurt you," laughed Rabbit. They are much too busy. They have come to collect some nectar to take to their hive, which is miles away." "Hive?" said Pooh. "Thank you, Rabbit. I now had an idea, and now you have reminded me what it was. I'm going to build a beehive in my garden and surround it with flowers. It will be lovely. The bees will make honey, and I'll have a larder in my garden, just like Eeyore. The bees will feed in my flowers, and I'll feed them on their honey. Simple." "Come on," said Pooh. I've got a hammer and lots of nails which Christopher Robin gave me. Let's make the hive. But do you really want bees in your garden?" Piglet asked. "They do buzz so terribly." I'm not so sure about those flowers," said Eeyore, gloomy. "Vegetables are much easier to grow, you know." But Pooh was so enthusiastic about his plan that his two friends had to help him. Eeyore fetched the planks, and Piglet painted them, and Pooh sold them and nailed them together, singing, "The bees will be cozy and life will be rosy. Sing ho for the life of a bear and the bee." Soon the hive was built, and it looked very smart. It had a pointed roof and a little round hole at the top for the bees to fly into if they don't want to use the oblong hole at the bottom. "It's perfect," said Pooh. "All we need now is some bees and flowers," said Piglet. "You had better plant some around a hive, Pooh, or bees won't come." "How on earth do you plant flowers?" asked Pooh. At the moment, as if by magic, hundreds of flowers fell out of the sky and landed at the foot of a hive. Pooh, Piglet, and Eeyore gasped with wonder. "Am I dreaming?" asked Pooh. "Or did someone wave the magic wand?" The next thing he knew, he was lying on the ground and a big bouncing Tigger standing on his tummy, laughing. "I heard you saying you wanted a garden full of flowers, Pooh, so I picked a few and threw them over to you. I hope they bring you the bees you could wish for and a few more." "Thank you, Tigger," said Pooh, slightly out of breath. "They are beautiful." By the next morning, of course, all Tigger's flowers had withered because they had no roots. Oh dear," said Pooh. "I had decided to go to Rabbit for advice." "Rabbit," said Pooh, you know You said there's no secret about growing flowers and that it just takes work and patience. Well, there must be a secret. How do you begin to grow a flower? Rabbit looked up from his spade and said, simply, you dig the hole. Dig the hole? Asked Pooh. Yes, a hole. It filled with earth from a flower pot, with a tiny shoot planted in. Look, I lend you a spade. Go home and dig some holes. Back in his garden, Pooh started to dig holes. He dug some holes, large holes, some medium-sized holes, and some tiny holes. Want some help, Pooh? Asked Tigger. Digging holes is what Tiggers do best. And before Pooh could say gently, Tigger was digging in his own Tiggerish way and turning Pooh's dainty holes into a large crater. Just then, Rabbit appeared, carrying some 6 flower pots. If I give you these pots, Pooh, Rabbit said, perhaps you will grow the flower garden full of honey bees. Then maybe we'll bring you your own honey when you'll come to a tea with me instead of eating of mine. Do I always eat your honey? Pooh asked. I suppose I do. Well, it's a deal then. You'll bring me flowers pots and I'll bring you honey pots. A week later, Pooh was starting to worry because the flowers had planted didn't look all happy. Their heads were hanging down and the bees had shown no interest at all. What am I doing wrong? Pooh asked Piglet. I know, said Piglet. You're not talking to the flowers nicely enough. That's right, Pooh, said Tigger. I'll show you how to talk to flowers. He bounced around the poor weathered flowers, singing, we love you, little flowers. There's no need to look so low. Come on, stick your pretty heads up. We are asking you to cry, but this seems to make the flowers weather even more. The next morning, the flowers looked even worse. Piglet said, I remember something Al once told me. Flowers like it if you play music to them. That's a good idea, said Pooh. Let's fetch our instruments. A few moments later, the flowers were being subjected to the deafening concert. Pooh was blowing his trumpet, Piglet was tooting his flute, and Tigger was clashing his cymbals and singing, we love you, little flowers, at the top of his voice. Rabbit appeared in the middle of his den. He could hardly believe his eyes or ears. You flowers are dying. Do you really think a bit of music will cure them? He asked. Have you never heard, Rabbit asked, of something beginning with a W and ending in R, which comes out of a tap? Water, shouted Pooh and Piglet in unison. Exactly, answered Rabbit. Flowers can't grow without it. How could you forget so much an important thing? Quick, let's water them before it's too late. The 5 friends started work instantly. Pooh used a watering can, Piglet used a cup, Tigger used the buckets, Eeyore used a hose, and Rabbit stood in the middle, telling them or what to do. I'm so sorry, Flowers, said Pooh. I was so busy thinking about feeding the bees and feeding myself that I forgot to feed you. Please forgive me and grow. 10 days later, Pooh's garden was a paradise full of beautiful daffodils, pansies and bluebells and marguerites. Pooh sang a joyful song. My garden is bloomy, my hearth is roomy. It's a haven of bees, so buzz along, please. And that very afternoon, his wish came true. The first bee arrived and spent a long time soaking nectar from the flowers. It burst around the hive, which Pooh had moved to the sunniest spot in the garden. Then it disappeared into the sky to tell the other bees. The next morning, a swarm of bees arrived in Pooh's garden and found their way into the new hive. All day long, they buzzed in and out. They seemed to love the garden, with its mass of sweet-scented flowers and its convenient nearby hive. Winnie the Pooh watched delighted. My plan has worked, he said to himself. I declare my honey factory well and truly open. I'm the happiest bear in the world. The date came when the first honeycomb was made. Pooh invited his friends to tea and to try some honey. It's the best honey I've ever tried. Thank you, buzzing bees, said Pooh. And I'll never forget to water my flowers again. Flowers need looking after just like your friends do. You mean we have to water our friends? Asked Tigger, excitedly, reaching for the hoe. No, Tigger, said Pooh, firmly. Flowers need water, but friends need love and lots of adventures. The end. So, I hope you enjoyed this video when I read this storybook of Winnie the Pooh, A Garden of Flowers by Disney publication. So, this is where we're celebrating the wonderful years of 100 years of Disney since it was founded in 1923. So please feel free to write your comments down below. If you enjoyed it, give a thumbs up. Okay guys, so I have to leave now, but I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you so much and see you later.